The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey! Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think that we need to rethink it and criminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes, and welcome to the show. We made it to the weekend. It is Friday, January 24th, 2014, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. We got all sorts of great stuff for you on today's show, not the least of which is our good friend Danko from High Times Magazine. The senior cultivation editor is joining us live from Los Angeles, California, where they're getting ready for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. It's actually east of Los Angeles in San Bernardino, California. I booked my flight to the Ontario airport just yesterday, so we will be down there covering the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup for the Southern California. That will be February 8th and 9th. It'll be not this weekend, but the next weekend, so make sure to check that out. Actually, this is 2 weekends away, I guess, isn't it? That's right. So check that out. We'll be bringing you as much live coverage as we can, audio at least, as much video as we can bring you after the event days. We'll get those uploaded and get you a lot of stuff to watch. Also coming up next week, I'll be bringing you live coverage from the Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference. It's taking place in Ashland, Oregon. I just got the contact information for the hotel tech people, so we will be working out with them how much we can stream from that conference. That'll be taking place next weekend, next Thursday and Friday, as a matter of fact. So we'll have that in lieu of our regular episodes of the Russ Belville Show. Now, coming up also on today's show, we'll have time for a little radical rant where I want to ask the question, what is true legalization? What exactly does that mean? And what does it mean as we move forward and try to get legalization passed in more states in 2014 and 2016? Also today, we'll have time to go behind the headlines. You know, I've been promoting this move to Denver and the KTHC Denver TV station. Sad to say today that it doesn't look like that deal is going to go through. We'll tell you why when we get to behind the headlines, but don't be sad. That just means more attention for 420 radio. Also on today's show, it's Rockin Friday, so Herb Thrasher's going to be calling in. He's got a great tune for us coming up from Urban Pioneers. He'll tell us all about that during our 20 after break. But we'll open up the show with the 420 radio news. We've got a new announcement from the Attorney General on marijuana banking. We've got a ban on pot businesses in Yakima, Washington, legalization possible in Wisconsin, medical marijuana in Louisiana, and an Irishman challenging the medical marijuana bans in Ireland. All that coming up next on the Russ Belville Show.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The Law Office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activist to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your Fired Up Lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your Fired Up Lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today. 420 Radio. Tune in, turn on, get highly educated. Hey, tokers and tokettes, Radical Russ here to introduce you to my friend Matt and all the staff at Lush LED Lighting. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED Lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. If you thought LEDs were meet the tech of today, Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Let's just say I appear at a lot of events with the masters of indoor horticulture, and the harvests I saw from Lush LED Lighting were big, tight, sticky, and very effective. Check out LushLEDlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Double your rewards and lower your expenses with Lush LED Lighting.
This is your 420 Radio News for Friday, January 24th, 2014, brought to you by the National Cannabis Coalition. I'm Russ Belville. Attorney General Eric Holder announced that the Departments of Treasury and Justice are working together to produce new regulations to provide banking services to legal marijuana businesses. Holder said the new regs would apply to the recreational marijuana businesses in Colorado and Washington, as well as the medical marijuana dispensaries in the medical marijuana states that have regulated them. Holder said, quote, "You don't want just huge amounts of cash in these places. They want to be able to use the banking system, and so we will be issuing some regulations, I think, very soon to deal with that issue. A huge amount of cash, substantial amounts of cash, just kind of lying around with no place for it to be appropriately deposited, is something that would worry me just from a law enforcement perspective," end quote. Holder did not offer a specific timeline as to when the new regulations would be announced. Pot businesses will not be allowed in the central Washington city of Yakima. The city council, in a 6-1 vote, decided to forbid marijuana growers, processors, and retailers from the city, even if they are lawfully licensed by the Washington State Liquor Control Board to perform those roles. While Colorado's legalization explicitly allows municipal bans, Washington's law is mute on the issue. The state's attorney general issued an opinion last week saying the I-502 legalization law doesn't allow bans, but that it doesn't forbid them either. So local governments are free to ban. Councilman Bill Lover cited marijuana's illegality under federal law, explaining, quote, "I don't buy into somebody saying that we're just going to ignore that law," end quote. Lover has the votes of his constituency behind him. 56% of Yakima residents voted against legalization in 2012. The city council joins the tribal government of the Yakima Nation, which has called for a complete marijuana ban, even personal possession, on their lands. A freshman Democratic legislator in Wisconsin has filed a bill to legalize marijuana. The plan by Representative Melissa Sargent from Madison would create a licensing program for businesses to cultivate and distribute marijuana. Individuals would not be allowed to grow at home. Adults over age 21 would be allowed to buy and possess up to a half ounce or 14 grams of marijuana. However, Sargent's bill would increase the penalties for possession of over 20 grams of marijuana from a misdemeanor to a felony. Growing marijuana without the business license, even one plant, would also become a felony. Currently, it takes 4 plants to reach a felony charge in Wisconsin. Sargent touted the economic benefits of legalization for Wisconsin, saying, quote, "There is a lot of potential for job growth, people manufacturing equipment, as well as businesses that would be selling and distributing," end quote. Sargent isn't sanguine about the chances of the bill becoming law or even finding a co-sponsor, but believes, quote, "I would be doing a disservice to the community if I wasn't opening the door," end quote. Recent comments on medical marijuana by Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal may open the door for new legislation. The governor, speaking on Wednesday, explained that he would be open to allowing medical marijuana if it was tightly controlled and under the careful supervision of doctors. Jindal's remarks came the day after legislators held a packed informational hearing on medical marijuana at the state capitol. Lawmakers who on Tuesday said the chances for movement on medical marijuana were slim changed their tune after hearing the remarks from the governor. Quote, "With his comments, I guarantee you somebody is going to file a bill," end quote, said State Representative Joe Lopinto, a Republican who chairs the committee that would handle medical marijuana bills. State Representative Austin Baden, who is behind a bill to lower sentences for marijuana offenders, said, quote, "This is very good news for anyone who is in favor of the cause of medical marijuana, and that Jindal's change of heart, quote, is maybe a sign of the changing of the times," end quote. An Irish man blinded by glaucoma has purposefully gotten himself arrested to challenge Ireland's ban on medical marijuana. Mark Fitzsimmons, age 30, was aided by a caretaker as he went to Irish State Police with a small quantity of marijuana and turned himself in. The police confiscated his weed and issued a formal caution with a summons to appear in court expected once tests confirm the weed is cannabis. Fitzsimmons has had both eyes removed due to his condition and uses cannabis to treat the neuropathic phantom pains he still suffers, and believes he may have been able to keep his eyes if he had been allowed to use cannabis, which has been shown to lower the eye pressure for those suffering from glaucoma. Fitzsimmons believes his prosecution will entitle him to free legal aid to pursue his case. This has been your 420 Radio News for Friday, January 24th, 2014. I'm Russ Belville. You can get transcripts of 420 Radio News exclusively at the National Cannabis Coalition. Visit ncc420.com for details. When we come back, we'll go behind the headlines and tell you about KTHC Denver and how the plans have fallen through for my move. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back. I'm Radical Russ Belville, and I want to thank you for listening to 420 Radio. We couldn't survive without you and our sponsors, and I'd like you to check out one of our prime sponsors, the National Cannabis Coalition. I've been working with NCC since June of 2012, and I'm proud to be part of the team they have assembled. National Cannabis Coalition is building the partnerships with reformers, lawmakers, and industry we need to be successful. Visit the National Cannabis Coalition website at nationalcannabiscoalition.com or the easier-to-remember ncc420.com. That's where you'll get the exclusive first look at my radical rants, as well as informative articles from the nation's top cannabis pundits. Visit ncc420.com today, and if you have your phone handy, text Russ to 420-420 to support NCC and 420 Radio. It's a free text message that helps us help you end adult marijuana prohibition. Learn more at ncc420.com, and thanks for supporting independent marijuana legalization public radio.
Let 'em bring in the beat.
Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let 'em bring in the beat.
All the Hypocrisy with Jimmy Reefer Cake and Polly Madman from the great state of Maine, every Friday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. GMT, right here on 420radio.org.
Welcome back, everybody. 15 after the hour, and time for us to get behind the headlines. Actually, the headline here is our own headline about us moving to Denver and being a part of the first 24-hour marijuana TV station. Well, folks, it looks like it's not going to happen. The KTHC Denver plan is now a no-go. And, I'm not getting too much into the details on this, but the basics of it is I just couldn't come to terms with the ownership of the station as to what it will cost to move me and 420 Radio and set up, the continuing shows that will be running there, get me a new apartment. I mean, all those kind of details, which I thought were pretty much covered, turns out that didn't get covered the way I expected. So unfortunately, that opportunity isn't going to happen. It's not it's not completely dead at this point. Those guys are still going to go forward and build a station. And they've even offered me another offer that has to do with taking it up on a lease, but it would require me to get a whole lot of investment. And I'm just not sure if the investment will be worth it. I really believe in the internet. I mean, I love the idea of television, but the station out there in Denver is what they call a low power TV station, which means it's just over the air. You have to have rabbit ears to get it, right? It's not going to come in through cable or satellite. You have to just use rabbit ears to get it. And it runs on a low power signal. So, it would pretty much cover Denver because the tower's up high on Cripple Creek. Yes, really. And it would cover most of Denver, so you'd be able to pick it up. But we'd kind of have to educate everyone that they need to get rabbit ears to pick it up. There's also this thing called must carry, where the FCC ruled that, local stations also have to be carried on cable and on satellite. This is why you're able to get your local ABC, NBC, CBS. You're able to get those on your cable or your satellite. Well, the low power stations aren't covered by that. So there's no way we could actually force the terrestrial signal to be picked up by cable or satellite. In absence of that, then the next move would be to have the station be streaming on the internet and have people pick it up that way. But if we're going to build an internet TV station, there's no reason it has to be in Denver. And I got to tell you, a part of this is also the fact that I love Portland, Oregon. I just love Portland, Oregon. I've been living here for 10 years. This year, I finally went full Portland, bought myself a bike, right? So I've that was my final step. Well, actually, the final step is becoming vegan, dating a girl with hairy armpits and Birkenstocks. But I'm not going that far. Right? We're gonna stick at the bike level for a while, okay? But I really love Portland, Oregon, and I'm really excited about our prospects for legalization, and to leave Portland as we're ramping up for the campaign to legalize and pass what will be America's best legalization, quite easily the best legalization, did not sound very appealing to me. And then to move to Denver, and no offense to my friends and listeners who live in Denver, but I don't particularly like Denver. I mean, I love the legal and political climate at this point. Pot's legal and everything. But climate-wise, the elevation, and it's really dry, and it snows there, and there's, just doesn't, it kind of reminds me of Boise, Idaho, except with less oxygen. And so I've just become, I've just become web-footed. I just love Portland, Oregon. Plus the Blazers are doing great. I want to stay here while the Blazers do well. So the long story, Howdy Y'all says, don't trash Portland women. I'm not trashing Portland women, just teasing. But the long story short of this is that I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to stay with 420 Radio. I think what we've built here over the past year has yet to even reach half of its full potential. We got so many more good shows coming online. We've got so many events to cover. We're going to be covering all 4 of the United States Cannabis Cups in Southern California, Northern California, Denver, and Seattle. We're going to cover Seattle Hemp Fest, Boston Freedom Rally, and a couple of other hemp fests we hope this year we're going to add to the rotation. We'll be at the Aspen Legal Seminar, the Key West Legal Seminar, the normal conference, wherever it ends up being. There's just so much going. Oh, and election night. We'll have to cover election night as well, where marijuana legalization may be on the ballot on 2 or 3 states. So much to do here with 420 Radio, and so much yet to grow, that I just kind of feel that if I'm going to be raising 5 or 6 figures worth of money, why not put it toward what we're already doing? Why not build 420 Radio into the internet juggernaut I know it can be? And move with an eye toward satellite radio, move with an eye toward getting us on. And if this station in Denver does take off and they need some content, why, we'll have a show to add to them. So that's what we'll do. Hey, but it's time for us to take a break. And there's no sad feelings here, man. We're all feeling fine.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a TV station. And maybe it'll still happen. We don't know. But for now, we're going to take a break. Be right back.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Marijuana, do you wanna? Mary, do you wanna tonight?
As marijuana goes mainstream, you need to be armed with the facts. Nobody can teach you better than Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Ph.D. You may know Dr. Mitch from his column in High Times magazine or his weekly appearance on the Russ Belville Show. Dr. Mitch is also the author of some of the best books on marijuana science, culture, history, and health, including Understanding Marijuana, Parents' Guide to Marijuana, Pot Politics, and more. Visit Amazon.com and search for Mitch Earlywine, that's EARLEYWINE, and order your books today. You can also contact Dr. Mitch by email at 420research@gmail.com.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
I'll say, little red carpet, darling, your mud's too fast. Little red carpet, you need a lover that's gonna lay.
Hey, this is Willie Nelson for Normal. And I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I learned a long time ago that marijuana is a lot safer than alcohol. There's nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults. It's time we stopped arresting and started respecting those who smoke marijuana responsibly. To learn what you can do to help, contact NORML at NORML.org or call toll-free 888-67-NORMAL.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Rockin Friday, featuring rock, metal, and the hard edge of alternative country. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tune.
All right, everybody, welcome to Rockin Friday. Time for our Daily Toker Tunes, and we're waiting for Herb Thrasher to call in. He was just on the line and then just dropped off, but I'm sure he'll be calling in here soon. We've got Herb Thrasher Flower Hour coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific. We'll be here live, bringing you 2 hours of rock, metal, maybe even some bluegrass jams. You got to check that out. If they play guitar fast, we play them on the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Let's see if we can get Herb on the phone here. Of course, you got to realize that Herb Thrasher calls in from his workplace to bring us these tunes every Friday. So who knows, man? Maybe the boss came around the corner and he had to hang up. But we'll see if we can get him. The tune for today is from a band that's called Urban Pioneers, and I guess the title of it is rather appropriate because Herb gotta go. Let's see if we got Herb there. Are you there, Herb?
Yeah, man. What's going on, guys?
What, the boss come around the corner or something?
No, dude. You guys were giving me some kind of tornado sounds or something, man. It was like, I don't know how to explain it, man. It was like crazy stuff.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll have to
I don't
figure
know.
that out.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. We'll just blame it on Obama.
Let's. Okay, it's all Obama's fault. Hey, I was just telling people about this track, but before we do, what we got for the Flower Hour tonight?
Well, real excited. It's been a big week for us. We went to a show on Tuesday night, and we've got to meet and see the Jake Orvis and the Broken Band. And real excited we got to interview him and some other band members, but tonight we're going to air the interview with Jake Orvis. And we also filmed some great songs, so we're going to play some footage from that and kind of get a feel more of this outlaw and this whole sound that's going on. It's definitely a growing sound, and we love it, and we're going to definitely support it. And it helps us tie in, a little bit of how this music compares with some of the rock and more heavy stuff that we play also. So real excited to introduce you guys to Jake Orvis. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, and so we were real happy to get him on board and do an interview with us. So looking forward to that, and we've got some new tunes from other bands, the Vintage Caravan and some other bands. So you guys hang out, and got a winner on our Governor Who Sings for Governor Christie. So we'll announce that too, and just a real fun night.
Yeah. Check that out tonight. Herb Thrasher contest. Who does Governor Christie sing for? You'll see a picture of Governor Chris Christie in a famous band, and you have to guess which band he's singing for. Also coming up later on today's show, in Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio, we'll have our Fan Friday Trivia Contest. We're giving away this August-September 1st anniversary 1975 issue of High Times magazine with the Inuit girl smoking a joint on the day that Alaska goes legal. That's when their Supreme Court decided that people could have 4 ounces in their homes. All right, Herb, let's get to today's song. I've never heard of this band, Urban Pioneers. What can you tell us?
All right, so as I mentioned, Jake Orvis and the Broken Band, well, this is 2 members of the Jake Orvis Band. And so this is Jared and Liz, and Jared is the bass player, and by bass, I definitely mean stand-up bass. And Liz is the violin player. And both of them have basically been rocking for a few years now together. They joined up playing for Bob Wayne and the Outlaw Carnies back in 2009. And from then, it was basically an instant combination, and they played in that band. And then as they moved on to other bands, and then they got into Jake Orvis and the Broken Band, and have been playing ever since with this lineup. And here recently, they decided to start their own little project up also, and a little bit different sounding, a little bit I don't know, maybe more folky and positive kind. It's not as dark as maybe some of the Jake Orvis is, but it's really, really good stuff. And Liz has been playing violin since she was like 5 years old, so she's definitely a child kind of prodigy, growing up in different kinds of music. So these guys definitely have it going on. You can find their music on Reverb Nation / the Urban Pioneers. And they also have a Facebook page, Urban Pioneers Lared, and it's Lared, and that's short for Liz and Jared put together. So you guys definitely check out the Urban Pioneers and join us tonight for the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Make sure you bring your weed, and we'll bring the rock, and we'll have a great time. So you guys turn it up and be safe this weekend, and we'll see you guys next week or tonight. Rock on!
Well, my fingertips are bleeding, my eardrums are ringing from the amount of shows we play. Another night, another bar, sleeping in the car. No, we wouldn't have it any other way. I gotta go, I gotta get out on the road. Another show, another town, thanks for coming out, I gotta go. Yeah, truck stop, showers, driving 12 hours. Little smoke helps to make the time pass. The promoter selling blow, attendance was low. Here's $20 for gas. I gotta go, I gotta get out on the road. Another show, another town, yeah, thanks for coming out, I gotta go. Alright, Liz. We park in front of that loading site until we hear last call. This only time with peace of mind. Yeah, I said we broke down to Florida on our way to Georgia, stranded for a week. We got a transmission, now we're on another mission. No, this ain't no life for the weak. I gotta go, I gotta get out on the road. Another show, another town, thanks for coming out, I gotta go. Another show, another town, thanks for coming out, I gotta go. Another show, another town, thanks for coming out, I gotta go.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420.
In the afternoon, if I'm home, I smoke marijuana.
You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
Marijuana, yeah, yeah.
The judge allows in evidence that Trayvon Martin did have marijuana in his system at the time he died. What difference, if any, does that make?
Because I've seen too many felonies. And I don't mean pot sales or growing pot like this guy up in Connecticut.
To me, it means that he is less likely to pick a fight with someone.
I mean, people on pot shoot each other.
Isn't it true that when you smoke pot, you just want to lay on the sofa and eat?
People on pot kill families, wipe out a whole family.
The common connotation pot goes with lethargy, with the munchies, with wanting to eat, with being laid back, not with chasing somebody down, jumping out from behind bushes, beating them in the head till they're pulpy, and basically starting mortal combat. That's not what you typically equate with smoking a doobie.
I've got to be drinking booze, or I've got to be smoking, or I've got to be high.
Electric Bob's Boogaloo, starring Electric Bob from Arizona, Tuesdays at 7 a.m. Pacific on 420radio.org.
Egyptians grew it, Indians grew it, so it's grown more weed. The rest is...
The cultivation of marijuana can be a therapeutic hobby, a source of medicine, and in some states a thriving business. Today we hook you up with the masters of indoor, outdoor, hydroponic, and aeroponic cannabis cultivation. Ask your grow questions in our chat or call in live to 971-533-7111 as we enter our Cultivator's Corner.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's 33 after the hour, and we're reaching out to Danny Danko by telephone in Los Angeles, California, where he is getting ready for the High Times Cannabis Cup. Danny, are you out there?
Hi, can you?
Hello, Danny. We got you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm already out here in Los Angeles, and yeah, we're very excited for the Cup coming up.
This will be the second time at the National Orange Center, correct?
Yeah, second time, and this time we have some time to plan it out, and yeah, it's going to be very exciting. We've got a larger area than we had last year over there, and we're having the performance from B.O.B. and Young Dro, and we're giving a Stoner of the Year award to Be Real from Cypress Hill, so we're looking forward to a really good time.
Yeah, it's out in San Bernardino, California. I know we kind of refer to it as the Los Angeles Cup. I like to call it the Southern California Cup because San Bernardino there is like about 80 miles east of L.A., if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a little bit out there in the Inland Empire, but that actually allows for people from that area also to come out, as well as we hope people from Los Angeles, basically all of Southern Cali, because even San Diego is really only just an hour and a half away.
Yeah, and folks, if you're looking to fly in, may I recommend the Ontario Airport? I think it's the closest one.
Yeah, that's right out there, not far at all from San Bernardino. And yeah, we're just very excited. I have some really cool grow panels that I've planned out. Saturdays at 3 p.m. and then Sunday at 3 p.m. we're doing a live episode of the Free Weed podcast as a grow seminar as well. So that should be fun.
Do you have any names lined up yet as to who will be on the panels?
Yeah, I have some pretty big names. DJ Short, Kyle Cushman, Mel Frank, who I don't think I've ever had on a panel before. Noted grow writer Mel Frank will be there. Kenny from Trichome Technologies. A lot of the people I've had on my podcast. So, Drew West actually as well from your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Secrets of the West Coast Masters author, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be there on one of the panels as well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to a really good time. There's also other panels. There's edibles panels, business panels. I believe there's a dab panel by Bobby Black that'll be talking all about concentrates with a bunch of the people who, are some of the premier extract artists in the world.
Yeah, this is great stuff, and we'll be recording as much of it as we can to bring back to our listeners here on 420 Radio. We'll also have a booth there as well, and we'll see if we can get you to stop by. We'll talk live out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to it. We have a Prop 215 medicating area, as always, so I'm sure that'll be well packed with people as well. So, we're excited. We're very very happy with the venue and the situation that's going on out here.
We've been seeing a lot of you lately on CNBC and some of these other, mainstream outlets. How has that gone for you? And how do you think the marijuana issue is starting to play in the mainstream?
Well, it's gone great, and it has been a sea change in who usually contacts us, and having those business channels like Wall Street Journal and CNBC contact us is a kind of a new thing, and I think that they're recognizing that as, legalization inevitably happens across the country, there are fortunes to be made, for people and that are investing in it. So I think they're recognizing that aspect of it and seeing the potential for the, legal cannabis business to be, the billion-dollar industry that it will be.
Yeah, we're talking with Danny Danko, senior cultivation editor for High Times Magazine. And of course, the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, the first U.S. Cannabis Cup of the year. There's going to be 4 of them here in the United States. This one's on February 8th and 9th, the National Orange Center in San Bernardino, California. Go to medcancup.com if you want to get information on not just this one, but all 4, which will be taking place. We got a Denver one around 420 about that time that weekend, I believe.
Right. That weekend we'll be in Denver, and that one's just been off the hook. We actually just confirmed our location for that. It's the Denver Mart, so it's a really nice, big, spacious location, and we shouldn't have any issues with getting people in there in a timely manner or anything like that, because we actually know how many people to expect, which is a ton of people. Already the pre-sales are just ridiculous. So
and now with cannabis sales legal in the state of Colorado, will that be a possibility at the Cannabis Cup for a vendor to be able to actually sell there?
I believe as long as people are over 21. I mean, I'd have to check with our legal department and all of that, but if the people who are doing the selling are permitted to do so, I don't think it should be a problem. But again, I don't know what the exact regulations are as far as where they can and can't sell from. So not 100% sure on that, but I will definitely be looking into that as well. We're planning one for Michigan now, also hopefully for like late July. We did one in Detroit a couple of years back, and definitely have always wanted to go back to the Michigan area.
Yeah.
So we're looking right now for locations there.
All right, so we've got Denver on April 19th and 20th. The San Francisco Cup, is that also going to be out in Richmond like it's been before at that beautiful pavilion?
I'm not sure about the location of it, but the timing should be right around that same thing, around mid to late June. And we're looking basically at potential venues out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to go back to a place we've already been and kind of know the lay of the land and have them be happy that we're there and all of that. So that's good. We've got a few of these under our belt now.
Yeah, so San Francisco mid-June, a potential Detroit, Michigan one for July, and then Seattle first weekend of September, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Big schedule, and then, of course,
hopefully
wind up with Amsterdam around Thanksgiving week there.
Mm-hmm. In November, we'll definitely be back there as well. So, full slate of Cannabis Cups coming up, and we think that a lot of the meetings of the minds that go down and people, business people, and deals with each other really tends to help push the legalization issue forward because, again, the business and the commerce is hard to ignore, particularly in places like Denver and even out here in California. I mean, there's so much job creation going on in this industry right now, from top to bottom, and ancillary businesses as well. So people are just seeing that, and I think our event is a reflection of that as well.
All right. And, of course, we also want to remind people out there to get your copy of High Times Magazine. It'll detail a lot of this stuff. The current issue, 40 best seed banks of all time. Danny, what's your vote for number one there in the seed banks?
Wow, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I guess I would have to go with Sensi Seeds. They were like the big first original. They have the Jack Herer, the NL5 Haze, so many legendary strains out of, the Dronkers family and Sensi Seed Bank. And, a lot of the other seed banks that are in that Hall of Fame got their start working for Sensi. Guys like Adam from TH Seeds and Simon from Sirius, and a lot of those people who started seed banks in the 90s got their start working for the Dronkers and then, branched out on their own. So, yeah, I think if I had to pick one, it would be Sensi as the all-time greatest. But that article has 39 other seed banks listed that are operational now and provide the great genetics that we know and love, and not just providing the genetics, but also the customer service, being able to reach them and talk to them about the strains or about maybe any issues you might have had. So, yeah, I was excited about that cover article, and that whole thing is my Seed Bank Hall of Fame that I started in 2007. And every couple of years we add 10 more seed banks to it. And so this year, because it's our 40-year anniversary, and we added another 10 to the 30 that were already there, that's how it ended up being the 40 greatest seed banks of all time.
All right. And other great things in this issue. Again, this is the High Times, March 2014 issue. I'm glad to see High Times focusing on the UFC. There's an interview here with Matt Riddle, one of the UFC fighters who's been busted for marijuana. And a lot of information here about combat sports and how they're reacting to medical marijuana use. This seems to me to be something that, between football, now with the Super Bowl and mixed martial arts, a lot of these champions who are using cannabis, that these sports organizations are starting to change their tune a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're already under fire for, brain injuries. And, a lot of the science and medical information coming out about cannabis helping to prevent brain injuries or helping to treat them after they've occurred is pretty hard to ignore, particularly when you're dealing with a lot of that in your industry and you're under fire, like the NFL particularly is. And so, yeah, medical marijuana use in professional sports is definitely one of those issues that's, helping to change the tide in our favor.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got some questions coming up from our chat room here for Danny Danko, the senior cultivation editor of High Times Magazine. Medigro, Vermont would like to get your opinion on a variety of marijuana known as purple monkey balls. I've never heard of this, Danny. What the hell are we talking about?
Purple monkey balls. I've heard of it. I'm not 100% sure. It's one of those strains you hear the name of and you giggle. But particularly in Vermont, they have those purple strains that grow really well in the Green Mountain State. And they've had them for years. I can remember even back in the late 80s, early 90s period, they had these perfect purple, basically about golf ball sized buds. Every bud was almost the same size, a really beautiful shade of purple. And I think if that's what she's referring to, or he's referring to, then that may be the purple monkey balls. We called it the purple Afghani, I think, back in those days. And that was really something to get from Vermont back before, kind bud was a popular thing.
Yeah. All right. Great question out there. Thank you, MediGrow. And I'm also wondering, your neck of the woods, I mean, not right now, you're in LA, but, back in New York and on the East Coast has been hit now twice by massive polar vortex type of weather. Any tips you want to give the growers out there on the East Coast who are trying to batten down the hatches?
Yeah, I mean, well, certainly, if you have issues with cold weather in your grow room, it's mostly going to just be during the nighttime cycle. So when your lights are off, there's a threat of the grow room getting too cold, which I would say basically anything under 60 to 65 is probably going to be a little too cold for that nighttime period. And so if you have a space heater or any kind of way to keep your room warm during that time, I would definitely highly recommend it, as well as just making sure everything's well sealed up from the elements, and that you can insulate a room as well, and that'll retain some of the heat that you've built up during the daytime cycle with your grow lights and the heat coming off your ballasts and things like that. So, that would be the most important thing, just to insulate your room and make sure it stays warm during the nighttime cycle.
All right. Thanks for the tips. And Danko getting ready for the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in San Bernardino, February 8th and 9th. We'll see you down there, Danny. Going to have ourselves a good time.
I'm sorry, you cut out there a little bit, Russ.
Sorry about that, Danny. Just thanks for calling in, and we'll see you down in San Bernardino. All right. When we come back, we'll have time for a radical rant. What is true legalization? Stick around.
It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
Are you or is someone you know a marijuana smoker? Have you or is someone in your family been arrested for a marijuana violation? You need to know the truth about pot. NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, is the most comprehensive source of information regarding marijuana and its effects on health, as well as legal issues. NORML even offers a database of lawyers specializing in cannabis in your area. NORML, the nation's largest and most successful marijuana law reform organization, has spent decades gathering the knowledge and science on everything related to cannabis. NORML is the best resource to find out the truth about marijuana, connect with a lawyer in your area, or help find an end to prohibition. Information is available at norml.org, that's NORML.org, or toll free at 888-67-NORML.
420 Radio, the world's voice of marijuana legalization.
Somebody has to say something. man? Is that the reefer man?
That's the reefer man.
I believe he's losing his mind.
I think he's lost his mind.
This is a Russ Belville Show news alert. Whatever you do, don't smoke pot. You don't want to turn out to be a loser, like Olympian Michael Phelps, actor Jack Nicholson,
singer Miley Cyrus, rocket scientist Dr. Carl Sagan, pop star Rihanna,
actress Cameron Diaz, country legend Willie Nelson, President Barack Obama, Cy Young pitcher Tim Lincecum,
Have you ever met that funny reefer man? Have you ever met that funny reefer man? If he says he swam to China and he sells you South Carolina, then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
And over 100 million other Americans.
Have you ever met funny reefer man? If he says he walks the ocean, anytime he takes a notion, then you know you're talking to the reefer man.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant.
Well, what is true legalization? It's the one that passes. That's true legalization. I'm motivated to do this rant today because of a comment I caught on Facebook. It had to do with, I don't even remember what the original thread was, but basically someone had kind of called me out or asked me why I supported New Approach Oregon. I remember it was the Christine Tatum thing, the rehabbers and all that. So in the context of, dissing this rehabber, the person asked, why do I support New Approach Oregon? Because it would give X percent of tax money. I forget what the percentage is. It would give percentage of the tax money from marijuana to drug rehab and treatment. And so, the implication being that, gosh, you hate the rehabbers so bad. Why would you support this legalization that has money going to rehab? Well, because I support legalization. That's the bottom line. I support legalization. And also, I think we need to be careful to not demonize drug treatment. All of it, right? Certainly we can demonize forced drug treatment. And considering that anybody who's caught with marijuana is somehow an addict and needs to be forced into treatment. Yes, absolutely. Let's demonize the hell out of that. But let's not throw all drug treatment out the window. Drug treatment has been beneficial for lots of people, not the least of which is my dad, who went into treatment for alcoholism and it saved his life. I'm not anti-drug treatment. I'm anti-coerced drug treatment. You know the old saying, how many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? Only one, but the light bulb has to want to change. That's the way I think of rehab. I believe in rehab. I believe in detox. I even believe in 12-step programs, so long as the person wants to engage in them. That's the only way we find true success with people who have addiction problems, is when they have hit rock bottom. Not when somebody else decides they've hit rock bottom, but when they feel they've hit rock bottom and they want to get some help. But it also brought to mind a fear that I have about the legalization campaigns that are going to be coming up here in Oregon. Because we got kind of an interesting situation. We've got the New Approach Oregon people, which is Anthony Johnson, and this would be kind of like what you'd consider the conservative side. Not that the people involved are conservatives, but that the legalization they propose is more conservative. Anthony Johnson and New Approach Oregon have been working with the legislature, been working with Senator Floyd Przansky here in Oregon, and basically pushing the idea that the legislature ought to get involved in pushing legalization. With the idea that, look, Oregon's going to legalize. We're going to get stuff on the ballot, and we're going to pass it. So if you want to have some say in how legalization goes down, the legislature ought to get involved and put forth their own plan and let us vote on it. So that's kind of the conservative, suit and tie side. But we also have Paul Stanford and the folks from the Campaign for Regulation and Restoration of Hemp. You see them on our Cannabis Common Sense show that appears here on the 420 radio rotation. Now, Paul Stanford's been pushing something called OCTA, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, for years and years and years now. In fact, he was the one that pushed the legalization that failed last year with 47% of the vote. And that was a wide open legalization. That was You can have as much weed as you like. You can grow as many plants as you like. It also had a bunch of other stuff in it that made it kind of unpalatable to the voters and ended up losing with 47%, while legalization was passing in Oregon or in Washington and Colorado with 55%. And that again leads me back to the theme of this. What is true legalization? Well, if you ask me, the Paul Stanford version is the truest legalization that was proposed that year. Unlimited personal cultivation, unlimited personal possession. Because as far as I'm concerned, weed isn't truly legal until an 18-year-old can grow as much as he wants in his backyard and own as much as he wants. Until an 18-year-old can smoke it, grow it, sell it, and buy it without limit, it's not truly legal. And why 18 years old? Well, if you're old enough to vote for the leader of this land and you're old enough to tote an army rifle in the sand, you're old enough to toke a freaking joint in your hand. I never understood why we think we can give them the power to pick the president, the power to smoke cigarettes, the power to vote, the power to sign contracts, the power to join the army and die for your country. But we're not going to let them smoke a joint. But true legalization, as Paul Stanford proposed it back in 2012, did not pass. So it is no legalization if it doesn't pass. And that's where this little tightrope walk that we have to walk is going to be happening, is in how much legalization can we get? You got to find that sweet spot, right? You got to find that sweet spot where you're getting as much as you want from legalization, but it doesn't go so far as to scare away the mainstream voters. Now, since Colorado and Washington have already legalized, it makes what we can propose after that, it makes it a lot easier to propose a greater legalization. We can point to Colorado and Washington and say, hey, they legalized an ounce and look, the sky didn't fall. Why don't we legalize 4 ounces or 8 ounces or 24 ounces or whatever it might be? That's kind of one of the burdens that Colorado and Washington have to suffer, is the fact that they were the first. And they had to come out of the gate with probably what will be the most restrictive legalizations. So you got Anthony Johnson right now, who's pushing the new approach Oregon, which is 8 ounces of possession, 4 plants for cultivation. However, it's 4 plants per residence, right? So if you're like 6 of you living in a house, you can still only grow 4 plants. A lot of people in the marijuana movement don't like that idea. Think that's a really bad idea. But it doesn't have a per se DUID. It does allow home grow. And it would also set up a regulated licensing system, which would pretty much mirror what they're doing right now with the dispensary system. The dispensary system goes online in March, and so this will be like the dry run of what the legal pot shops will be like. And that's the conservative measure. 8 ounces and 4 plants. Paul Stanford's back, pushing a measure that's already gotten an initiative title. That would be 24 plants and 24 ounces. It would basically be the same limits as the medical marijuana program. Now, as I look at both of these, I would prefer if Paul Stanford's would pass. I would prefer that measure to pass because, hey, if patients can have 1.5 pounds and grow 24 plants, why can't healthy people? But what I worry about is people in our movement that are going to say, yeah, because we want the Paul Stanford one to win, let's not vote for the new approach Oregon one. Because in Oregon, whichever one gets the most votes is, if they both pass, whichever one got the most votes is the one that goes into effect. So will some people on our side say, hey, since the mainstream's more likely to vote for the limited one, don't vote for that and instead vote for the Paul Stanford one. And then we end up diluting our support for the one that could have passed. These are some real fears that I have about this upcoming legalization, but we're going to be here, right here in beautiful Potland, Oregon, bringing you the coverage of it. Hey, we got to take this into hour 2. We're out of time here. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. take a seed, you plant it, you